Evelyn Harper sat in her modest living room, the faint hum of the evening news filling the silence. Her fingers, worn from decades of grading papers, traced the edges of a faded photograph, a young girl with bright eyes and a gap-toothed smile, her niece, Clara. At 62, Evelyn had no children of her own, but Clara had been her heart's anchor since the day she was born. The retired schoolteacher's pension was modest, but she'd always found a way to send Clara money, first for school supplies, then for college, and later, when Clara's husband, Tom, lost his job, for essentials. The checks were always accompanied by a simple note, "For you and the family. Love, Aunt Evelyn." She never asked questions, never doubted Clara's gratitude. To Evelyn, family was everything, and sacrifice was love's currency. Tonight, though, something felt off. Her phone buzzed with a notification, a photo on social media, tagged by a mutual friend. Clara, radiant in a white gown, stood on a cliffside overlooking a turquoise sea, Tom beside her in a tailored suit. The caption read, "Our dream wedding in Santorini. Forever begins now." Evelyn's heart stuttered. A wedding? Abroad? She scrolled through the photos, lavish floral arches, a yacht in the background, guests in designer attire. Her chest tightened. She hadn't been invited. Not a call, not a letter, not even a mention. The money she'd sent, thousands of dollars over years, scraped from her savings, was this where it had gone? Not to bills or groceries, but to a secret, extravagant wedding she wasn't deemed worthy to attend. Her hands trembled as she set the phone down. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. Betrayal wasn't a word she'd ever associated with Clara, but now it burned in her mind like a brand. The next morning, Evelyn sat at her kitchen table, a cup of tea gone cold. She'd spent the night replaying every check, every sacrifice. The new coat she hadn't bought, the trips she hadn't taken, all for Clara's struggling family. The truth gnawed at her. She'd been used. She dialed Clara's number, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "Clara, I saw the photos. The wedding." A pause, then Clara's voice, bright but cautious. "Oh, Aunt Evelyn. It was spontaneous. We didn't want to burden anyone." "Burden?" Evelyn's tone sharpened. "I've been sending you money for years. For your family, you said. Was that a lie?" Clara stammered, No, it's just, we used some of it, yes, but we needed this. It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And I wasn't worth inviting." The words cut deeper than Evelyn expected. "It wasn't like that," Clara said, but her excuses blurred into static. Evelyn hung up, her decision made. No more checks. No more blind trust. She was done. For weeks, Evelyn felt adrift. Her small house, once a haven, now echoed with loneliness. She missed Clara, but the hurt ran too deep. One evening, flipping through a community newsletter, she stumbled across an article about a volunteer program in a remote Himalayan village. They needed teachers to educate children in a region where schools were scarce. Something stirred in her, a spark she hadn't felt since her teaching days. She applied that night. 2 months later, Evelyn boarded a plane to India, her suitcase light, but her heart heavy with hope. The village, nestled in a valley shadowed by snow-capped peaks, was a world away from her suburban life. Mud brick homes, endless skies, and children with curious eyes greeted her. For the first time in years, Evelyn felt needed, not for her money, but for her knowledge, her presence. The school was a single room with a tin roof, but to Evelyn, it was a sanctuary. She taught English and math to children who walked miles to learn. Among them was Mira, a 12-year-old with a quick mind and a guarded heart. Mira's parents had died in a landslide, and she lived with her aging grandmother, scraping by on meager crops. Evelyn saw herself in Mira's quiet determination, her hunger for a better life. As months passed, Evelyn's days filled with purpose. She taught Mira to read novels, to dream beyond the valley. In return, Mira taught her the local dialect, shared stories of the mountains, and brought her wildflowers. The village embraced Evelyn, too. Families invited her for tea, children drew pictures for Teacher Auntie. For the first time, Evelyn felt a sense of belonging that didn't demand sacrifice. A year into her new life, a letter arrived, forwarded from her old address. Clara's handwriting. Evelyn's stomach twisted, but she opened it. Dear Aunt Evelyn, I've messed up. Tom's business failed, and we're drowning in debt. I know I hurt you, but I need you. Please, can we talk? I'm sorry. Clara's words were desperate, but they lacked warmth. Evelyn read the letter twice, searching for genuine remorse. She found none. Clara hadn't asked about her life, her happiness, only her money. Evelyn set the letter down, her resolve unshaken. She wouldn't go back. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Mira arrived at Evelyn's small rented room, clutching a notebook. Teacher Auntie, I wrote something for you. Her voice was shy but proud. Evelyn opened the notebook to find a story, a tale of a woman who left her home to teach children in a faraway land, bringing light to their lives. At the bottom, Mira had written, "For my second mother, who gave me wings." Tears blurred Evelyn's vision. She hugged Mira, feeling a love she'd never known with Clara. Mira wasn't her blood, but she was her family, a daughter forged not by obligation, but by choice. Months later, another letter came from Clara, this one more frantic. We are losing the house. Please, Aunt Evelyn, you're our only hope. Evelyn read it by the firelight, Mira asleep beside her after a long day of studying. She thought of Clara's wedding, the yacht, the lies. Then she looked at Mira, whose dreams were just beginning. Evelyn wrote a brief reply, Clara, I wish you well, but I've found my purpose. I hope you find yours. She mailed it the next day, then returned to her classroom, where Mira and the other children waited. As she taught, Evelyn realized the truth. She'd spent years giving to a family who took her for granted, but in this village, she'd found a community that valued her. Mira, with her bright eyes and boundless potential, was the daughter she'd always wanted. And for the first time, Evelyn felt whole, not as a benefactor, but as a woman who had reclaimed her worth. Years later, Evelyn stood at Mira's high school graduation, watching her accept a scholarship to a university in Delhi. The village had pooled resources to celebrate, and Evelyn's heart swelled with pride. Clara's letters had stopped long ago, and Evelyn had made peace with that. Her life was here, in the laughter of children, the warmth of the village, and the love of a girl who called her family. The silent benefactor had found her voice, and her home.